In this tutorial, I want to talk to you guys about reading external files in Python. So a lot of times in Python, you might want to read an external file that's not in your Python file, and read information from like a text file or an HTML file or a CSV file, and that's what we're gonna do in this tutorial. And yeah, and for reading files in Python, we use this command known as read command to, read files, read the information in those files. So that's what we're gonna do in this tutorial, and let's get started right away. But before we get started, you might wanna consider hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on my future content, and let's get started. So, to, here I have this text file right here that we're going to be reading from our Python file. And here in my text file, you can see the and these are their grades, I guess. That's what I've done, and that's what we'll be reading. For if you're trying this, if you're reading a file, it should be in the same directory or in the same folder. So right here, as you can see, my main.py file and the student grades.txt file are in the same folder, so that's okay. Now, to read a file, first of all, you need to open it. So, to open it, we use this command known as open, and then you can just put the name of the file that you want to read. So you could just say student grade t, and then you need to assign it one more value, which would be like what do you want to do with the file? Like you want to read it, you want to write it, or do something else with it. So in our case, you want to read it. And for reading a file, you use this R, and that what basically it will do is it will open the file and we'll be allowed to read the file. But if we want to write to the file, we could do W, which it will allow us to write to the file. If you want to read and write to the file, you can just say R and the plus sign, and that would allow us to read and write to the file. And if you want to append some information to the file, you could do that by saying this. This is like A for append, and that's how that works. But for in our case, we're just gonna use next tutorial. I'm gonna talk to you guys about using R plus and W to write to the file. And yep, so now we have created this open statement, but generally we store this in a variable so that we can access it later. So I'm going to store it in a variable. I'm just going to say student grade equals to open. Yep. And as you can see, I've stored this in a file, I mean in a variable. And now, whenever you open a file, like I've opened the file right here, it is a good idea to close the file. So we have this, like we have a function open, and we also have a function to close the file. So you might want to do this at the end when you're done with the file. You have, read the file or wrote to the file, and after that, it is a good idea to close it. So for closing it, you just type in the variable name and just say close and parentheses. And now it is closing the file. So that's how that is working. And now, uh, if I run it, you can see nothing's happening. Well, we want the information, or else what is the point of doing all this, right? And to do that, you might be thinking like you could just say print and student grade, and that would work, but no, it won't work because you can see it's just showing this text right here. It won't work. For that, we have these different kind of functions that we can use. So I'm going to show you some functions to use with this. So the first function is readable. Now with this, what it will do is it will, oops, yep, a typo. Sorry guys, that was a typo. And what this will do is it will give us a boolean value. So what it will say actually is it will return true or false. If it is true, then it will be, the file is readable, but if it is false, then it is not readable. So if I wait, yep, let me run it now, and you can see it says true, and that is good. Oh, I ran the debugger by mistake. So as you can see right now, it is showing true, and that's good, right? Because it is saying that this file is readable. And now you might want to read it, right? You just don't want to like just return true or false. Now from the read file, you can see we're reading all the information and printing it right here, and you can see all the information that we had here is getting printed here. So that's how that's working. And we have a couple more functions. Yeah, there's a function known as read line, which will read the lines. So you can see uh, this read line function, it automatically grabs the first line in this text file right here, and it grabbed it, gem with the grade of 80, and that's working. And if you just print it again, I mean if you just type it again, then you'll see that now it will also grab Tim. So what's happening is this is grabbing the first line, then automatically it is getting on the second line when because this is grabbing the first line. So that's how that's working. These grab individual lines, and you could just print the whole information. And if I run it, you can see it is grabbing Jim, Tim, Toby, and Noah. It's grabbing the first four because we have four. And but there's a better way to do this. So instead of doing this, we could just say read lines instead of read lines. I mean read line. And then you could just say what line do you, and now if I run it, you can see what this does is it puts all the information that we have here in a list, and now we can access them. So instead of just putting read line again and again, you can just put what. So this is, it has created a list right here. So Jim would be 0 because it automatically assigns it an index, and right now it is not working, and that is because this is a little different. In this one you can just enter the number in the parentheses, but instead you don't enter it in the parentheses, but make brackets over here and then enter the number, like the number of the line you want to access. So you can see I put some brackets and then I put the index, and now it's working. So you can see Jim for 0, for 1 it should be Tim, yep, and for 2 Toby, and that's how that's working, guys. So what we're basically doing is we're just opening a file, and then we have set it to the read mode in which we're only allowed to read, and then we're just storing it in a variable so that we can access it. And here we're accessing it, we're printing the the information, uh, and this is like a function, and I went over a bunch of functions. This is the read lines function to print out like specific lines, and you have the read function which would print the entire information, and then we're just closing it because we're opening it. It's a good idea to close it. And yeah, that's it for this tutorial, guys. And in the next one, I'll be talking about how to write to the file. In this one, I talked about how to read the file. And yep, this is it for this video. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.